and welcome back to my channel. My name is Chantel, and today I'm going to be doing the long-awaited fall book haul. So if you're new or new-ish to my channel, I don't do book hauls super often, but there are a couple of times a year when I do tend to purchase a lot more books. Usually in the fall around my birthday, which is at the end of September, and in the winter after the holidays, so like January, February. So I tend to do a couple of large-ish book hauls per year as opposed to doing like a bunch of small monthly book hauls because I don't buy books that regularly. So today what I have for you is a quite large book haul. This is a combination of birthday stuff, coupons from my local library's summer reading challenge that I always do, and I end up getting a bunch of coupons for local bookstores from it, some other odds and ends and other purchases that I've made either from sales or things like that. So that's what's going on here. You may see behind me the first thing that I'm going to talk about right now, which is the birthday present that I received from my best friend. This is my 40th birthday this year, and my best friend purchased me this, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but it's a very large, very pretty box set of all 6 of Jane Austen's main novels. This is from Chiltern Publishing, I believe. They're very nice. I really like this box set. I like the look of them. Very beautiful display editions of Jane Austen's novels, of which I am a big fan. And I like them because they are not only really nice display editions, but they are also pretty good reading editions. They are pretty solid. They're like hardcover. I don't want to take them out because it would just take too long. But they have sort of gilded edges, pages, they have ribbon bookmarks, and they're not too big or clumsy, and so they work pretty well as reading copies too, if I would want to read them. But this is primarily a display edition of these books. As you may or may not know, I'm a big Jane Austen fan. And yeah, so having these really nice editions of her books, really nice addition to my shelf in my collection. So that was a gift from my bestie for my 40th birthday. So thanks to my bestie for that one. The rest of the stuff that I'm going to show you is stuff that I purchased. Much of it on sale, much of it used, much of it with coupons. But yeah, let's get started. I have several piles. First, let's do a few odds and ends. First of all, I did in fact grab myself a copy of An Introduction to Fantasy by Matthew Sangster. He's a literary scholar and critic. This is from Cambridge University Press. Just a year or two ago, I think, is when it came out, so it's quite new. Yeah, just a couple of years old. Yeah, 2023 is the copyright on this, so this is quite a new book, but I think this will be very helpful and an interesting addition to my fantasy genre exploration project that I'm starting to work on. So I will probably begin to read this quite soon. I did just finish the Maria Theresa biography, which I'll be talking about next week. So I am not currently reading a nonfiction, so I might start reading this quite soon. So yeah, this is just a pickup. I wanted to grab a copy of this for this personal project that I've been working on. So that's An Introduction to Fantasy by Matthew Sangster. This is more of a scholarly work, almost a textbook. Yeah, I am looking forward to diving into this as part of that project. I also did have a coupon for my local university press, which is the University of Nebraska Press, and I picked up this from their Bison Books imprint. This is called Mrs. Cook and the Klan, Booze, Bloodshed, and Bigotry in America's Heartland by Tom Chorneau. This one I picked up purely based on the blurb on the back of the book. I've never heard of this story before, and it seemed really interesting. So I'm just going to read you the blurb on the back of this book because I think it does a good job of selling the book. Obviously, it sold it to me. So it says, on the day she was murdered, Myrtle Underwood Cook boasted to local authorities about new evidence of a major bootlegging ring operating out of the Rock Island train depot behind her house in a small farming town in eastern Iowa. Then, as she sat at her parlor window sewing, she took a single slug through the heart. She was president of the local temperance union. Her killing made the front page of the New York Times. The next day, her funeral made national news due to the eerie presence of a small army from the Ku Klux Klan, its members donned in full regalia drawn from 3 surrounding states. It was September 1925, and Al Capone had just taken over the Chicago outfit, evangelist Billy Sunday was converting thousands to temperance, and the KKK had just marched on Washington, D.C. During its first half-century of statehood, Iowa lurched from wet to dry and back 8 times before Prohibition was ratified in 1919. And back when Iowa was still a territory, its black codes imprinted generations with a legacy of intolerance and racism. Mrs. Cook and the Klan is a true crime investigation that not only sheds new light on Myrtle Underwood Cook's unsolved killing, but also explores the confluence of the social, political, and economic forces that brought the Klan, lawless street gangs, a local mob boss, and the temperance movement together in a small American town. So that sounds really interesting, and it is sort of local interest. I'm in eastern Nebraska, so I'm relatively close to the Iowa state line here. So sort of Midwest history, true crime, early 20th century America stuff that is really right up my alley. So I'm really interested in reading this. I have a couple of other sort of true crimey, historical, nonfiction books on my shelf waiting for me. So I don't know how long it'll be before I'm able to actually get to this one, but I think this will be a really interesting read. So that's Mrs. Cook and the Klan. This is from, Bison Books, which is an imprint of the University of Nebraska Press. And then I did grab a whole pile of stuff from some of my local indie bookstores. An indie bookstore that's quite close to me just opened up a year ago and celebrated their 1-year anniversary on Labor Day. Had a big sale, and I bought a bunch of stuff there because I just cannot help myself. I did purchase and read Catabasis by R.F. Kuang from this local indie bookstore. So that's another book that I picked up at this sale. I didn't buy it on sale, but I did order it at that time. So I did pick up The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. I'll probably be reading this pretty soon because it's on my fall 4th quarter TBR. This is a classic science fiction novel by the master of classic science fiction and fantasy, and I'm really looking forward to diving into more of Ursula Le Guin's work. I really enjoy the stuff of hers that I have read in the past, and I'm very much looking forward to this one as well. I did also pick up another John Steinbeck book because I'm apparently just really into John Steinbeck now. So I picked up The Winter of Our Discontent because this was on the shelf and I want to read it, and I believe this is his final novel. But either way, looking forward to this one as well when I can get back to Steinbeck, hopefully soonish. I also did pick up another Adrian Tchaikovsky book. This one is, of course, Children of Time, the one that he's probably most famous for the start of a sci-fi trilogy by him. I did read my first Tchaikovsky book last year, or early this year, Alien Clay, which I really liked. And so I figured this was there at my local indie bookstore, and I thought I might as well grab it, and we'll see how we go with this one now, too. I did also pick up this wonderful bind-up of the Monk and Robot novellas, A Psalm for the Wild-Built and A Prayer for the Crown-Shy by Becky Chambers. I have read these, or rather, I listened to both of them on audiobook, so I really liked them, and I know this bind-up just recently was released, and so I picked it up because, yeah, I want to own it. I might want to reread these at some point. I do really like them. So yeah, this will be one that goes straight to my regular shelf instead of sitting on my TBR shelf, so that's good. And I also picked up this copy of How Long Till Black Future Month, a collection of short stories by N.K. Jemisin. I love N.K. Jemisin. I've read several of her books, including the Broken Earth trilogy, and the her City duology. And so I am really interested in reading her short stories, and this was on sale, so I'm always happy to pick up an N.K. Jemisin. Then another indie bookstore purchase that I grabbed with a coupon this past month or so was Hemlock and Silver by T. Kingfisher. Been in a T. Kingfisher mood lately. I mean, when am I not in a T. Kingfisher mood, really? I always really enjoy T. Kingfisher. I've read a couple of her books just recently, and I'll probably be picking this one up pretty quickly as well. This is her take on the Snow White fairy tale, I believe. And yeah, I think Kingfisher's fairy tales, like Nettle and Bone, like A Sorceress Comes to Call, are probably my favorite of hers. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I quite like the look of this. I know I've seen some people saying, oh, the green edges on the page is a little too much, but I think it's a vibe, honestly. I think it's a vibe. So yeah, I've said before, and I'll say again, Kingfisher is one of those authors that, like, I feel completely confident purchasing any and all of her books sight unseen, because I just always have a good time with them. I've never had a miss with her. So yeah, looking forward to this one as well. And then I got a whole pile of books from used bookstores. Well, primarily one used bookstore in my area that I go to most often. So yeah, got this whole pile. So let's see. I found this copy of The Wee Free Men by Terry Pratchett. This is a Discworld novel, specifically a Tiffany Aching novel in the Discworld series. And yeah, when I find a nice edition of a Discworld novel in the wild, I am usually going to pick it up. These tend not to stay on the shelves very long in my local used bookstore, so when I find one, I pick it up for my collection, because I am collecting these gradually over time. They're a very mismatched set of books for me, because I tend to get them in sort of whatever edition I can find them in, but yeah, The Wee Free Men, Terry Pratchett. I'm reading Discworld perennially, so this is just a kind of a no-brainer. I did also find this lovely edition. This is a Barnes & Noble, like one of their children's classics editions. It's like faux leather of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. So this is a bind-up of two Alice books. And yeah, it's very nice. Silver edges, it's lovely, shiny writing, and it's got a great little ribbon bookmark. I've already started reading it because it's Victober, and I was planning to read this anyway for my fantasy project, my fantasy genre project. So yeah, and it has the original illustrations as well, which is really nice. So I couldn't resist this when I saw it at my local used bookstore. I was like, how much did I pay for it? Not a lot. Yeah, I paid like $8 for this, which is not bad for an edition like this. So yeah, having a good time with this one already. And then I did also find this copy of The Plantagenets by Dan Jones. I've never read a Dan Jones book. I understand he's a little bit divisive. Some people really like him. Some people think he's maybe not as scholarly as he could be or ought to be. But I want to give him a shot. I do enjoy a nonfiction that's a little bit more on the pop nonfiction end of the scale once in a while. As long as it is still well researched, I'm okay with a more of a popular style. But and I like this period of English history. I think The Plantagenets are a good place to start with Dan Jones, because I feel like this is kind of the book that really made his name as a history writer. I feel like it is. So, and like it even was like, I'm pretty sure this was, maybe it was The Wars of the Roses that really got him into it, but I feel like this was also made into like a BBC miniseries or something. Several of his books I think have been, but anyway, I found this, it was on the shelf. Again, it was kind of a no-brainer, like why not? It was like $7 or something. There's also a lot of notes. So this was clearly somebody's like history class textbook at some point. How much did I pay for this? Yeah, like $7, I think, was how much I paid. So, yeah, no reason not to, basically. And then I also found this copy of Hild by Nicola Griffith. This is a historical fiction novel about Saint Hilda. So the medieval English historical fiction novel that I've heard really good things about, and I like to have some historical fiction around for me to read when the mood strikes me, because I like a good rich historical fiction once in a while. So, and I've heard really good things about this one, so I picked this one up. I was also lucky enough to grab this copy of The Deep Sky by Yumi Kitase for like, yeah, this is first edition hardcover, so it was like $13, which again, not bad for a first edition hardcover. I think the standard price for this is probably more closer to $30, so I can't really complain. I've heard very good things about Kitase and about this book, and I would like to give it a shot, and so I couldn't pass it up. So I grabbed this. I also was able to grab this first edition copy of Nona the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I have not yet purchased Harrow the Ninth, but I still couldn't resist. I had just finished Gideon the Ninth when I saw this pop up in my local used bookstore's new arrivals shelf, and so I just had to call dibs on it immediately. And this is another one where this is a first edition hardcover, and I got it for like $13. Yeah, and it's normally like almost $30. So, yeah, first edition, $13. So yeah, I couldn't resist it, even though I still haven't purchased Harrow the Ninth. It's fine. I'll grab Harrow the Ninth at some point soon and get to the rest of this trilogy. I think there's a fourth one coming out at some point too, but that's fine. So yeah, that's my used book haul. I did have a few picks at Barnes & Noble, because I also have coupons and stuff for Barnes & Noble. So I have grabbed a few things at Barnes & Noble over the past month or so as well. I did grab What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher. I've already read this. In fact, I purchased it, read it in, an afternoon. It's quite short. Enjoyed it. I'll be talking about this in my next bi-weekly wrap-up. But yeah, this is a good time. It's October. I wanted something spooky. I got something spooky. It was good. I did also pick up this bind-up of the first two Murderbot novellas by Martha Wells. I still have the residue from the sticker, which really annoys me. At least it was a sticker, but it still has a ton of residue on it. I have to work on getting that off. But anyway, I like these. I like the look of these new bind-ups, and so I did pick this up with a coupon. Yeah, this includes All Systems Red and Artificial Condition. Again, I've listened to all of these on audiobook and really enjoyed them, and so I'd like to start purchasing them for my collection so that I can reread them, because I think they're really fun. And then I also did pick up The Goblin Emperor by Catherine Addison. This is one that is another one that's going directly to my regular shelf, because I've read it before. I read it from my library several years ago, and I quite enjoyed it. So I finally decided to just go ahead and pick up a copy of it to add to my collection. If you're not aware, The Goblin Emperor is a political fantasy about a young man who is half goblin, who unexpectedly inherits the throne when the rest of his family is killed, and he has to navigate being in a position where he's now the ruler of this kingdom that he never expected to rule and was not prepared for. And also he needs to like figure out who tried to kill his family, because they're probably going to try to kill him too. So there's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of political machinations. I really love it. The character work in here is exquisite. And then I also picked up the third and final book in the spin-off trilogy, The Cemeteries of Amalo. This is The Tomb of Dragons. So this is about Selahar, which is one of the side characters in The Goblin Emperor, got his own little spin-off trilogy. I have not read this one yet. I'm going to very soon. And yeah, I really like these books. I really like Selahar as a character. I think he's a great character. And his little adventures are really fun. And again, for me, Catherine Addison really shines in her character work. It's very detailed. She's very good at writing really complicated characters that have rich inner lives. And that, combined with her detailed world building, just makes these really rich and enjoyable books. They're all pretty slow burn. They're all, I would say, they're not like super high on plot. There's definitely plot there, but it's more like a Robin Hobb-ish kind of situation where the plot tends to be kind of secondary to the characters, and that's really why I like them. So that's The Tomb of Dragons by Catherine Addison. I'll be reading this pretty soon, probably. That's all the books that I purchased. And then also Barnes & Noble did have a sale of 50% off their Kino Lorber DVDs. Kino Lorber is another of these companies that puts out a lot of different kinds of films on DVD and Blu-ray to make available for purchase. And they're a really good company. I like them a lot. And they had a 50% off sale at Barnes & Noble. So I picked up 3 Blu-rays from Kino Lorber. I picked up this Blu-ray remaster of Nosferatu by F.W. Murnau, 1922, mostly because that's the mood I'm in right now. It's October. I love Nosferatu. I may watch this soon, actually. I did just watch the Robert Eggers 2024 Nosferatu the other day. I'll be reviewing that later this week. And I may rewatch this just because it's that time of year, because I'm in the mood, and because I just watched the remake and I'd like to compare contrast. But yeah, so I picked this one up. I did also pick up Sabrina. This is a fun rom-com directed by Billy Wilder from 1954. Yes, 1954. Audrey Hepburn, Humphrey Bogart, William Holden. It's kind of a love triangle-ish situation. Lots of fun comedy, class comedy. It's a rare Humphrey Bogart comedy lead. He's a little bit stiff in this sometimes, I think sometimes, but it's still quite fun to watch him be in something a little bit more lighthearted than what you usually see him in. But yeah, so that's Sabrina, Billy Wilder. And then I also picked up this 4K HD Blu-ray of Brick, directed by Rian Johnson. This is Rian Johnson's debut feature from 2005? Yeah, 2005, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. This is a high school set neo-noir, which is really fun. I really like Rian Johnson. He's one of my favorite directors working today, and this is one of the main reasons why. This is a really good movie. It's very fun. It's very noir, but it's also like kind of funny because it's set in a contemporary high school and it's all teenagers that are acting out this noir plot, it's great. It's kind of dark, kind of gritty, sometimes unexpectedly funny. It's really good. It's perfectly encapsulates why I enjoy Rian Johnson so much as a director. So yeah, this is a good addition to my collection, my growing collection of films. So that is my haul. That's my haul. I hope you enjoyed this. I'll probably, as I said, be doing another haul video in a few months because I usually end up getting more books around the holidays and immediately after the holidays. So I would expect like January or February to be doing another haul video potentially. Otherwise, that's what I've got. Coming up this week, I'm going to be having at least 2, maybe 3, depending on what I get to, more film reviews of scary movies, a couple more vampire films coming up this week, because I just can't get enough of the vampire stuff. Really, the vampire movie is where my heart truly lies with these horror films. But yeah, other than that, let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books, what you think of them, if you've picked up any good books recently for your collection, any movies for your collection recently. If you like this video, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe for more, please do so. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye!